Good. I'm back again. Excuse me. I'm ready to get started. It looks on the low quality settings on this phone, it's a lot more stable. So I'm going to try to archive this, okay, by date ranges. And I'm going to start with the very beginning, which is 1960 through 1966. That's where it all began for me. I was a New Year's baby on 1960, January 1st, 1960. Okay? And originally I was born in Chicago. I understand on Aldine. Now, I was very, very young at the very beginning. And I didn't know anything more than the very beginning. And to be honest with you, there's very little recollection. Okay? I remember the crib. I remember the dimmed lights. I remember what my parents looked like. I'm very fortunate to have a razor sharp memory. Okay, but I didn't know anything. And so by the time I was a year or two of experience, my parents relocated to 554 West Roscoe Avenue, the third floor. I believe, yes, we were on the east side. It is two parts, 554 and 556. By the time I was 2 or 3, I even remember it perfectly. 312 GR2 4075. That was our phone number. And I had my parents are my mom and dad. They were great parents. Very loving. Very loving. I remember everything photographically like a movie. I can play it back for 10, 15 seconds. As early of an age 2, 3, I'd say 3, I remember my dad's office number of 312-236-6781. And now I began to gain some experience there from the very start. I was so young at the beginning. A major influence on me was Curious George. Maybe that's why the recollection is so high on me. Because my mother, I understand, I'm referring to, I learned considerably later, but my mother was pursuing a bachelor's degree in psychology from Roosevelt University, and my father, a certified public accountant, all success, very successful clients. He was able to create that. Okay? And let me just go over a couple of reference points here, just so you get to know me a little bit better, okay? And it is relative to who I am today. There's a good reason I'm disclosing this. I had very loving parents. I'd say the recollection becomes razor sharp. Starting about, I'm going to guess 2 to 3 years of experience there. And you're being put to sleep, and Curious George going on the, and of course, the appearance, and that's the responsibility. And so my mother and my father, very often I went to the office and clients of my dad, see, they were creating success with an expertise. Very early age. Okay? I had my grandparents and some cousins. And I remember everything very well. And they emphasized to build on that curiosity. I'm very, very fortunate. Creating success, a Curious George. You learn from experience. How do you know it? Okay? Let me share an example with you on that one. How many times did I see, I think food has a lot of influence on someone. So here we are on the 3rd floor, and I didn't know how to talk. It was before I could talk very well. I knew very few words, but I knew she put the pot on the stove and turned the knob, and there's gas. She's down, doing the laundry in the basement. There's the back stairs, photographically, head-on steps leading down the 3rd floor to the basement. Well, she left me alone for a couple of minutes, and I decided to imitate. I didn't know the difference between a pan and something that looked like a pan. It was straw. That I sure learned from. I turned the gas on. It was a straw pan that looked like a pan. I scurried down to the basement, and I was trying to relate to her, and she just kept doing the laundry. And I just sat down and looked around the basement. I didn't know what to think, and it had to at least be 10 minutes. Oh, was I so fortunate. She looked at me, very loving. The whole place could have gone up. Very early age. Remember the air conditioner over on that unit over there, and that cool air and the television? I didn't understand what they were I didn't understand anything. I didn't know any words. I didn't know anything. Oh yes, I'm very, very fortunate. That's just the beginning. See, that's the most formative years. I was exposed to creating success at a very, very early age. I didn't know anything about certified public accountants, but I did know we'd get in the car and we'd go to this cool office downtown Chicago, and then we would go to these people that were creating success. Very successful people. Okay? I didn't know anything about any of it. There was Jack Borton, and there were people who had stores, and then there was the Curious George. I was encouraged to build on curiosity. Very fortunate. Of course, my mother knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. Okay? And we would go for car rides. I'd see my grandparents, the holidays, all of the, stuff that, as you're gaining experience. Okay? Very fortunate. Very. And most loving grandmother, grandfather, and cousins. I didn't know much more. I didn't know anything more than 3, 4, 5, 6 years of experience. I have a sister, and that's it. That's all I have is just one sister. Very small family. That's okay. And very good experience. A very good childhood. Very loving parents. But the emphasis, build on curiosity and success. Creating success. And I believe at a very early age, I know they were very careful impressing a belief on me because I would never learn it, so they told me, go out there and learn it and come back to us and share with us what you've learned. That's as good as it gets. At this point, I just know as you gain experience that I was extremely fortunate. Judy, I believe her last name was Goshen. Judy Goshen. Oh, at such an early age. She was down in an apartment, 1 or 2 units, before we left Chicago. I went over and tried to see her. There was Ricky, some neighborhood kids. I didn't know anything. I just knew the reaction, that I started picking that up, emotions, and photographically, memorizing it. And I didn't understand any of the grown-up stuff. I didn't know what they were talking about. But I sure did pick up those emotions, and they're photographically razor sharp. Very fortunate, early age. All of it. Everything that I've experienced from about age 3 is 100% retrievable. It may take a little bit because of Goshen. It's been 30 years, okay? Okay, but keeping it in that reference, that time period, there, most early age, Treasure Island, the meat, the butcher, some local stores, a candy shop. I attended early on Nettlehorse Elementary School. Photographically, pretty good recollection there up to through that, especially from age 3 forward. And all of that again, my mother knew exactly what she was doing. Build on curiosity. You don't know it? Well, how are you going to learn it? Go out there and experience it and come back to us. I'm so fortunate. I had fantastic parents. And I have to say we're obviously very loving. That gives you a very good idea what I can relate to you of what's true about my background. As I mentioned, I must be very gifted to be able to archive that, and play it back as a movie. I pick up everything. 10, 15 seconds worth. The recollection is incredibly high. And I believe that's because from such an early age I was encouraged to build on curiosity. See? Very unique and very fortunate. My mother knew exactly, and I understand I come from a high side of intelligence here. We're all equal. That's the honest truth. I do believe everyone's equal. But I understand building on curiosity. How are you going to learn it? Go out there, experience it, come back to us, and share with us what you learned. Oh, I don't think it could be much better than that. I'm extremely fortunate, and the success, which I'll share in the following chronological, disclosures, all of it. I thank you. I understand. I'm going to share something more here. Sure, we went on vacation, Starved Rock, and I remember a turquoise car. I remember then a different car, and I wanted to go to that car. But they said, go to this one instead. There was a sideswiped driver's side. I didn't know anything about anything more than it was a turquoise car. Then there's a new car, and we would take we'd go up, we'd go somewhere, we'd go lots of places. I never understood it. You don't know at that age. I didn't know as far as anything at that age. Grown-up stuff. My parents, I understand, are highly intelligent, and so we would go on these car rides, and we'd go lots of places, and I didn't understand what grown-ups knew. Oh, another experience. That was a good neighborhood, a very good neighborhood, right off Lakeshore Drive. Just neighborhood kids playing, very much middle class. Very good area for the city of Chicago. And there were some teenagers, these were young kids, and a block over, they took me down to the basement. I followed them, and in those days there were incinerators in the basement, by the furnace. It was cool. I remember the basement head-on photographically. I was young, probably 4 years old. I never said anything to my mom about it either. She doesn't know anything about it. These neighborhood kids took me into this incinerator. They got a grasp on me, 3 or 4 of them. And I will tell you, I felt it very much. Wow, I was scared. And yet, when I came back, a block up to the north again, when I saw my mom, didn't say anything about it. I learned it. I experienced it. There were some other things. There's other things. My sister was 5 years ahead of me, so she's 5 years ahead of me in the experience. Yes, I began learning at a very early age, and I learned it very well. I remember the barbers, I remember everything. it might take a bit to get that memory back from age 3, but major influence definitely were my father's clients as a CPA, and obviously there were impressions of beliefs impressed on me in creating success in the healthiest context. I think that's how I learned that. What follows over, quite a bit decades later. Very fortunate. I had really good parents. We ended up taking these car rides, and I understand it was, and I'm just going to include this in 1966, but I remember very well, a lot of things going on as far as, I was told one day, ready to pick it up and go to a whole new place, to a whole new start, build on curiosity. It was 1967. My parents relocated with all those car trips. They spent the weekends. Yes, the impression of the memories there. They bought a house in Deerfield, Illinois. That's the last developing community outside Chicago. I didn't know anything whatsoever but a neighborhood. I said farewell to Judy Goshen. I was 6. Pine Grove. They moved. Judy Goshen moved to Pine Grove. I was 6. And I said my final goodbye to her. That will be from 1960 through 1966, even though I touched upon 1967. Okay? And that is what I'm about to include, the real growing up there of what makes me who I am today. Major influence. Thank you. Thank you very much for investing the time. Thank you.